All right, do you want to grow your confidence? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how I was able to grow my confidence, do what I love, and help change many lives in the process. Okay, my name is Dennis Esteban. I'm a speaker, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a content creator, and really, I'm doing this confidence series to help you do just that, build your confidence. I believe that some confidence is not something that you were born with, but I believe confidence is something that you can grow. It's something that you can develop. Okay, so before I go into the meat of this content, I want to tell you to subscribe. One of the great ways that you're going to build your confidence is by listening to content that's going to help you move forward. That's going to take you from where you are and move you to where you could be. So just I encourage you to just follow into this content and watch the whole entire series of this content. So before you can understand how I grew my confidence, you first have to understand a little bit of my story. So at the age of 6, my mother, my sister, and I, we moved from Haiti to the United States. One of the things that I always say is that although the U.S. brought many opportunities, it also brought many challenges, because when you look different, when you talk different, people treat you different. So I grew up as a kid that couldn't speak the language. A lot of times I was pretty much the only black kid in my class. And being that I was different, people picked on me sometimes. And really, people pick on what they don't understand. And people challenge what they don't understand. And this is what I realized over time. And although people picked on me for my skin color, for the way that I talk, I grew up a very resilient child. And one of the main things that I did, even at an early age, and maybe this is just something that's divine, but the number one thing I did that helped me to be confident is I always paid very close attention to my self talk. I didn't pay attention to what people said about me, but I paid very close attention to what I said about myself. So the number one way, one of the number one way from all of these tips that I'm going to give you to grow your confidence, I really believe it's this idea of paying attention to your self-talks, because it's not what people say to you that matters, but it's what you say to yourself. And it's not only what you say to yourself, but it's what you believe about yourself. So if somebody would say something to me, I would ask myself the question, like, is this true? And then I would take myself down the cycle of just asking why, right? And basically what I did is I did a very super logical approach to understand myself. And then once I asked myself all of these different questions, I realized their argument or what they had to say about me didn't really come from anything. So what they said about me didn't really matter to me as much as what I said about me. And so that's what I want to encourage you to do, is like really take hold, or take a poll, or take a survey of your self-talk. What are you saying to yourself? Because what you say to yourself is eventually going to be what you believe. And see, your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits, and your habits become your character, who you really are. So the first thing I did is I paid attention to my self-talk. The second thing that I did is I became a student of life. I was a person that I was constantly learning. I was constantly challenging myself. I was constantly learning new things. And what happens is when you become a student of life, when you start to learn new things, you begin to gain more experience. And remember, what confidence is a belief that you can rely on something. So as I became a student of life, there were many areas that I became proficient in. There were many areas where I was confident that I knew something about that subject, right? So in your life, you can never stop learning. Learning doesn't stop after you graduate, but you have to consistently, daily if you can, you have to consistently be a student. You have to learn, because here's the thing is, you don't know what you don't know, right? So when you begin to learn new things, you begin to open up your world. You begin to open up your mind. And see, here's what happens. When you elevate your thinking, you elevate your life. Okay, so here's the third thing that I did that helped really grow my confidence. It was that I practiced constructive comparison, right? So one thing that people say, and I even say sometimes, is like, don't care what people think. But the reality is, we are going to care about what people think. We are going to think about, oh, what that person said to us. We care, right? But instead of not caring what people think, I think the better thing to do is you should care what people think. The only thing is, you should not live your life defined by the opinions of other people. I'm going to say it one more time so you don't miss it. You should care what people think. You just should not live your life by the opinions of other people. Because here's the truth. If their opinion made you, then it's their opinion that's going to break you. So practice constructive comparison, right? So what does that person do well? What does that organization do well? What does that company do well? And see, and ask yourself, like, is this something that I can do, right? And you have to realize that you are an individual, you are unique, you are different. Like myself in my story, well, I had to realize at a young age, no matter what people said about me, I knew that I was just different. I might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I might be somebody else's cup of hot chocolate. You know what I'm saying? But practice constructive comparison. You're not for everybody. Not everybody's going to be for you. There are some people that are going to do some things better than you. There are some people that are going to have what you don't have. But that's not going to help you move forward in life. So the only thing, or the practical or logical thing for you to do, is to practice constructive comparison. Okay, I like how they did that. I don't like how they did that. I think if I did that too, I would be pretty good at that. I think, okay, like, this is the type of person I can become. Here's some of the things I need to put in place, right? Constructive comparison. And then lastly, one of the things that I've always been able to do is I've always been able to pay very close attention to my habits, right? What happens is, when you pay attention to your habits can actually tell yourself a lot about you. And I've always asked myself the question, like, this thing that I'm doing, right? Is it helping me become who I want to become? This habit that I have, is it pushing me forward to who I want to be, or is it pulling me back? And if it's pulling me back, I shouldn't be doing it, right? These people that I hang out with all the time, are they pushing me forward to who I want to be, or are they pulling me back? Are they stopping me from my destiny? If they are, sorry, you got to go. You got to go. I'm not here for it, right? So I always paid attention to my habits, right? So again, pay attention to your self-talk, because whatever you think about yourself, that's what you're going to believe over time, right? And here's the other thing about self-talk thoughts, is that there's some thoughts in your subconscious mind that were placed there by what people said about you so many years ago. And you have to do some deep work to really begin to understand these things. The next thing is, just become a student of life. When you elevate your thinking, you elevate your life. Practice constructive comparison, right? Don't be mad that you're not where you want to be yet, but understand that you are a person that you can make some moves. You can see a movement take place in your life. And then lastly, just pay attention to your habits. And then the most important way that, or the most important thing I think you need to take down from this conversation here, and this is what YouTubers would call the bonus tip. My bonus tip would be, the number one way that I grew my confidence is when I stopped focusing on myself, right? When I stopped focusing on myself, I decided, okay, how can I be a solution to a problem? And you might say, okay, Dennis, you're still thinking about yourself. But no, it's different, right? So instead of me focusing on, like, what I can't do, I realized, okay, I have all these things that I can do. How can I be a solution to a problem? How can I add value to people's lives? And then when you begin to add value to people's lives, then your confidence will not be a feeling that you have. It won't be an idea in your head, but it will be a reality that you live. And again, I realize this content that I'm creating, it's not for everybody. Most people are not going to do the work. Most people are not going to continue to lean in. Most people are not going to listen. Most people are not going to follow. But for the ones that do, I guarantee you, your life will change. And see, what happens when you make those moves, you will see a movement,